The kitchen manager held out her tablet, and my mother-in-law reached for it like the signature belonged to her. "For our anniversary, Evelyn is catering the entire party," Lorraine said. 70 guests, the original wedding menu, cocktails, desserts. She's even doing a midnight breakfast. Daniel smiled beside her. "Everything's handled." It was the smile that stopped me. Easy, affectionate, almost proud. The one he used when telling people I could rescue a broken sauce or feed 12 unexpected guests from whatever happened to be in the refrigerator. The manager turned the tablet toward me. "Perfect. I'll need your catering permit and insurance certificate before I can release the kitchen." Under her thumb, the reservation read, Hearth Hollis Events. Beneath it was my full legal name. I had never seen the room before. I hadn't agreed to cater anything. Lorraine tapped one polished fingernail against the screen. "Go ahead, Evelyn. We have the florist at 3. I looked at Daniel. He knew I hadn't said yes, so why did he look so certain I would sign? Outside the windows, the river moved under the late March light, gray and glossy as poured steel. The kitchen occupied the top floor of an old glass factory that had been converted into event spaces. White tile climbed the walls. Copper pans hung above a marble island no sane caterer would have chosen for actual prep. There were 2 induction ranges, 3 ovens, a walk-in cooler, and enough brass fixtures to make the place look expensive, even if you didn't know the rate. I knew the rate. The figure on the tablet was more than I charged some clients for an entire dinner. The manager waited. She was in her 40s, maybe, with a blunt dark bob and the patient expression of someone who had watched families turn beautiful rooms into crime scenes. "I'm sorry," I said. "What exactly are you asking me to authorize?" Daniel gave a soft laugh. "Ev." "No, I'm asking her." The manager shifted the tablet back toward herself. "The reservation is under your company. We require the responsible caterer to upload an active permit, proof of liability coverage, staff list, and food handling certificates. Then you sign for the equipment and facility rules. I didn't make this reservation." Her eyes moved to Daniel, then Lorraine. Daniel put his hand lightly between my shoulder blades. "I made the reservation. For us." There were 2 words in that sentence, designed to do all the lifting. Lorraine stepped closer to the island. "You said this was the only kitchen in town elegant enough for photographs. You were right, Daniel. The other one looked like a hospital." "It was a hotel kitchen, Mom." "Exactly." The manager's name tag said Mara. Mara tucked the tablet against her waist. "Should I give you a few minutes?" "That won't be necessary," Lorraine said. "Yes," I said, "please." Mara walked toward a glass office at the far end of the room. She did not hurry. That made it worse. Daniel kept his hand on my back until I moved away from it. "Tell me I misunderstood," I said. "You haven't misunderstood. You just walked in at the least graceful point of the process." "What process?" "The anniversary." Lorraine opened one cabinet, frowned at the stemware, and closed it again. "Your tone is making this much more dramatic than it needs to be." "My tone isn't on a legal document." "Evelyn," Daniel said, low and soothing, "we were going to talk tonight. You booked a rental kitchen in my company's name. I secured the date, that's all." "With what?" He glanced toward his mother. That glance answered before either of them did. "How much did you put down?" Lorraine lifted her chin. "The deposit is not the issue." "How much?" $2,800, Daniel said. I stared at him. "From where?" "We'll talk about the money at home." Lorraine exhaled as though I were an employee refusing to discuss something in front of guests. "The invitations have already gone out. We've told everyone what the evening will be. Your company will receive excellent exposure." "My company doesn't need exposure to your friends." She smiled then, which was always dangerous because Lorraine's smiles had the clean edges of folded paper. "Every company needs exposure. My company needs paying clients. We're family." Daniel stepped between us without making it look like he was stepping between us. He leaned against the marble island, hands braced behind him, casual as a man waiting for coffee. "Mom's not asking for a free event," he said. "She's covering food costs." I looked at Lorraine. "And labor?" "I assumed you'd want to give us something. For your anniversary, you assumed I'd give you a 70-person catered event? I gave you your first real clients. There it was, pulled from storage and set carefully on the counter between us." 6 years earlier, Lorraine had recommended me for a retirement luncheon and a garden club fundraiser. I had thanked her with flowers, a dinner, and the kind of gratitude that kept renewing itself because she never let it expire. "You made 2 introductions," I said, "and I was happy to." "No, you were strategic." Daniel closed his eyes briefly. "Can we not rewrite history in a rental kitchen?" "Whose name is on the rental?" "That's enough," Lorraine said. I laughed once. The sound bounced strangely off the tile. Mara looked up from her office. Daniel rubbed his jaw. "We know you're busy. That's why I blocked the date before somebody else took it." The brass pantry key on my ring pressed into my palm. I hadn't realized I was holding my keys until then. The old key was smaller than the others, worn smooth around the teeth, a piece of red butcher's twine looped through its round head. It opened nothing now. The first commissary had changed its locks years ago, but I still carried it because Daniel had tied it onto my ring the night I signed my first corporate contract. Now I curled my fingers around it hard enough to hurt. "You blocked what date?" "May 17th. I have a tentative hold for Bexler on May 17th. You hadn't confirmed it. You went into my calendar?" "I was checking your availability. My business calendar requires a password. You gave me the emergency password. For emergencies. My parents' 40th anniversary is once. That doesn't make it an emergency." Lorraine made a small, impatient sound. "Walter and I paid for half your wedding." I turned toward her. "What does that have to do with my permit?" "It has to do with whether we treat marriage as a ledger." Interesting choice of word considering you just brought up an invoice from 11 years ago. Her mouth tightened. Daniel stepped toward me. "Ev, listen. We all came in too hot." I walked in completely cold. Apparently that was the plan. It wasn't a plan. "Then ask me now." He blinked. "Ask me if I will cater your parents' anniversary." His face changed almost imperceptibly. Not guilt, calculation. He looked toward the windows, the office, his mother. He was measuring the room. "Will you please help us make the anniversary happen?" he asked. Lorraine looked offended by the word please. I could hear the walk-in refrigerator humming behind me. Somewhere below us, a cart rattled over a threshold. "No," I said. Daniel's face went still. Lorraine stared as if I had answered in the wrong language. "Excuse me." "I'm not catering the party." "You haven't even seen the menu." "I haven't agreed to a menu." "The menu is our wedding menu," she said. "Daniel has the list." Of course he did. She began counting on her fingers. French onion tartlets, sole Veronique, beef tenderloin, asparagus with hollandaise, and the almond cake. The midnight breakfast is a separate station, so it's hardly part of dinner. I looked at Daniel. "You promised her all that?" "I said you could make it work." "You promised my labor before asking me. I promised a result. We were going to figure out the details together." "Did the details include me saying no?" His silence lasted half a second too long. Lorraine moved to the tablet Mara had left on the edge of the island. "We are not losing $2,800 because Evelyn woke up territorial." "Don't touch that," I said. Her hand stopped. That was the first small thing that changed. Lorraine was used to touching my serving platters, my storage bins, the food on my cutting board. She would lift a lid while I was working and ask what was inside. She would take my phone to admire a photograph and then swipe. She treated objects as though her interest in them created permission. This time, she took her hand away. Daniel noticed. So did I. He asked, "What do you need in order to feel okay about this?" "I need you to cancel it. Besides that." "There is no besides." "We can hire extra staff. Mom can pay them directly." Lorraine opened her mouth. Daniel raised one finger without looking at her, and to my surprise, she stopped. "We'll simplify the menu," he continued. "I'll handle rentals. You won't have to carry the mental load." I almost admired the phrase. He had borrowed it from arguments we'd had about grocery lists and holidays, polished it, and brought it here to sell me my own captivity. "You gave away 6 weeks of my work," I said. "Then you blocked a client date so I'd be available to perform it." "I held the date. You took it. Temporarily. You keep renaming what you did." His expression hardened. "And you keep making it sound malicious." That hurt more than Lorraine's entitlement, because he knew the difference between harm and intent. We had talked about it in bed, on walks, in the car after dinners with his parents. Daniel could describe his mother's methods with startling accuracy when she wasn't in the room. Lorraine believed families should anticipate each other's needs. Daniel believed I should anticipate hers, so he wouldn't have to disappoint her. Mara approached carefully. "Do we know how we'd like to proceed?" "Yes," Lorraine said. "We'd like to proceed." Mara looked at me. "I'm not uploading my permit," I said. "I'm not providing my insurance. Hearth Hollis is not catering this event." Mara nodded once and entered something on the tablet. "What are you doing?" Lorraine asked. "Adding a note that the listed caterer has not authorized the booking. We paid. The room remains reserved, but the kitchen cannot be released for food preparation without an approved caterer." "So we can hire another one," Daniel said. "Absolutely. They'll need their own permit and insurance, and the reservation will need to be amended." Lorraine's shoulders relaxed. "Fine, amend it." The original deposit remains attached to the current reservation. There's also a change fee. "Of course there is," Lorraine said. "There's always a fee when a woman with a tablet says absolutely." Mara's smile was professional and almost invisible. There often is. Despite myself, I liked her. Daniel asked for a printed copy of the cancellation terms. Mara offered to email them. "To which address?" I asked. She read mine aloud. Daniel stared at the floor. "Remove my email," I said. "Remove my company. You can put his information on it." Mara looked at Daniel. "I can update the contact today. Changing the responsible party requires a signed amendment." "I'll sign it," he said quickly. Lorraine gave him a sharp look. She didn't want his name on the mistake. She wanted mine on the solution. Mara sent the amendment to his phone. I walked out before he finished reading it. The elevator had mirrored walls on 3 sides. I watched the doors close on Daniel calling my name and saw myself repeated into a little crowd. Navy coat, hair twisted up badly, keys still clenched in my fist. I had parked 2 blocks away because Daniel had told me the glass house charged $18 for valet service. He and Lorraine had arrived together. Halfway to my car, he caught up with me. "Will you slow down?" "I have prep at 2. We came in 1 car. You came with your mother. That doesn't mean I plan to leave with her. Apparently planning around a woman's consent is your specialty today." He flinched. I wanted the flinch to satisfy me. It didn't. A delivery truck splashed through a gutter, and we stepped closer to the brick wall. Daniel's hair had started to gray at the temples the year before. I loved that gray. I had teased him about looking distinguished while he accused me of trying to age him prematurely. Standing there, I had the absurd urge to smooth down the piece the wind had lifted. He shoved his hands into his pockets. "I should have talked to you first." "Yes, I know that. You knew it before you did it." "That's not fair. Did you think I'd agree if you asked before paying the deposit?" He looked past me toward the river. There was the unanswered thing, taking shape between us. "You've been stressed about Bexler," he said. "You weren't sure you wanted that job." I said their procurement process was annoying. You said the menu was boring. All corporate menus are boring. Boring pays payroll. My parents' event could be beautiful. It could be good for you. For me. Yes, for you. Is that impossible? No, it's convenient. He dragged a hand over his face. I was trying to make both sides happy. You're not in the middle, Daniel. You made a promise with my name on it." His phone buzzed. He checked the screen and turned it face down against his palm. "Your mother? Mara, the amendment. Sign it." "I will." "When?" "After I read it." "Read fast." I unlocked my car. He put one hand on the top of the door before I could open it fully, not trapping me exactly, but making me look at him. "Do not blow up our finances over one bad decision," he said. The words were quiet. I stopped pulling on the door. "Our finances?" "It came from the house account. I'll put it back." "The repair account?" "I said I'll put it back. We had spent 14 months saving to replace the leaking windows in the back of our house. Every hard rain left a damp line beneath the dining room sill. I had catered 2 December weekends I'd promised myself I would keep free because we were finally close to the estimate. "How much is in that account now?" "Ev, how much?" "I need to check." "You know." His phone buzzed again. This time he looked at it and I watched his expression change. "What?" I asked. "Nothing." I held out my hand. He gave a disbelieving laugh. "You don't get to inspect my phone because we're fighting." "I'm not asking to inspect it. I'm asking what just happened." He hesitated. Then he showed me the message. It was from Lorraine. "Don't amend anything yet. Once she calms down, she'll understand that the deposit makes refusal impossible." Daniel pulled the phone back, but not before I saw the message above it, sent the previous night. "You were right not to ask too early. She would only have said no before she saw how much was already arranged." I looked up at my husband. The old brass key had left a red crescent in my palm. "I can explain that," he said. I opened the car door. For the first time in 11 years, I did not wait to hear how. I drove 3 blocks before realizing my phone was ringing through the car speakers. Daniel's name filled the dashboard. I let it ring until the sound stopped, then pulled into the loading zone behind our commissary kitchen and sat with both hands on the wheel. A second call came in. Lorraine. I turned off the car. The kitchen smelled of onions, yeast, and the citrus cleaner our landlord bought in industrial drums. Tasha stood at the stainless prep table, piping goat cheese into roasted pepper cups. She had worked with me for 3 years and could detect trouble from the way I tied an apron. "You're 22 minutes early," she said. "Should I be worried?" "No." "Then should I be offended?" "Deeply." She studied my face. "What happened?" "I need to check something before we start." My office was a former dry storage closet with a narrow desk and one shelf that sloped enough to make pens roll off. I opened my laptop, logged into the company calendar, and went to May. The 17th was shaded blue. "Family private event," the block read. Daniel hadn't merely looked at my availability. He had created a 12-hour event from 6 in the morning until 6 at night, with an additional cleanup hold the next morning. Bexler's tentative booking had been moved to a list called Pending Alternate Dates. I opened the change history. My account had made the edits at 11:48 on a Tuesday night 3 weeks earlier. I remembered that night. I had fallen asleep on the sofa with my laptop open after finishing invoices. Daniel had draped a blanket over me. In the morning, he brought me coffee and joked that I'd left the keys in the door again. The old pantry key lay against my thigh inside my coat pocket. There was a folder attached to the calendar entry. Daniel had uploaded Lorraine's guest count, a rough timeline, photographs of floral arrangements, and a typed menu. The header on the menu said Hearth Hollis in the same gray-green font I used for proposals. He had copied one of my templates. The total at the bottom was 0. Tasha appeared in the doorway carrying the tray of peppers. "Now I'm worried." I turned the screen so she could see it. She read without speaking. Her mouth tightened at the 0. "Did I agree to work May 17th?" she asked. "No." "Good. I was concerned I'd suffered a head injury. Did Daniel ask you about staffing?" "Last week, he asked whether we could handle 70 if we had 6 weeks' notice. I thought he meant a client inquiry." "What did you tell him?" "That it depended on the menu and the money. He left out the money. He usually does when it's your family." "His family." Tasha set the tray on my filing cabinet. You've been married 11 years. It's your family when they need chafing dishes and his family when they criticize the food. A laugh escaped me before I could stop it. It felt good, and then immediately disloyal. I opened the security settings. Daniel was listed as the recovery contact for my email, calendar, scheduling software, and payment processor. I had added him after a vendor expo in St. Louis when I dropped my phone in a hotel sink and locked myself out of everything for 6 hours. I removed his address from each account. The system sent verification codes. I changed passwords, revoked active sessions, turned on an authenticator, and watched little green confirmations appear. Tasha leaned against the doorframe. Do you want me here? Yes. She stayed without asking why. The payment processor had no suspicious charges. The company card showed nothing connected to the anniversary. That should have relieved me. Instead, it made Daniel's choice feel cleaner. He hadn't confused our business and personal accounts accidentally. He had known where the line was. He had simply put my name on the other side of it. I called Amy Sutter at Bexler Medical. She answered with the distracted warmth of someone reading email while speaking. Please tell me you're calling with a revised dessert number. I'm calling about May 17th. A pause. Okay. Did someone from my office contact you about moving the date? You emailed and said you had a family conflict. I did. 3 weeks ago. You offered the 24th. I replied that I'd check with our board. My inbox showed no sent message. Daniel must have deleted it. Amy, I need to be direct. That message was sent from my account, but I didn't authorize it. The quiet on her end sharpened. Was your account compromised? She asked. By someone who had access. I've secured it. We do have 75 people planning around this. I know. She exhaled. The venue can't do the 24th. We've been holding the 17th while we waited for your revised quote. I can still do the 17th. Can you? I looked at the fake anniversary menu on my screen. Yes. I need certainty, Evelyn. You'll have it. She said she would speak to the board chair. Her voice remained polite, which was worse than anger. When she hung up, I felt the first real consequence settle over me. Daniel had not only occupied a square on a calendar, he had made me look unreliable to a client who had hired us 4 times. Tasha slid the pepper tray back into her hands. What do you need? Finish these, then help me count the equipment in the garage tonight. Your garage? My house. Half our service pieces are stored there. She waited. I don't know who has access anymore, I said. Daniel was in the kitchen when I got home, making risotto. He cooked exactly 4 things, and risotto was the one he made when he wanted credit for standing at the stove. A bottle of wine breathed on the counter. He had set 2 bowls on the table beneath the leaking window with a folded dish towel protecting the sill from the damp. You didn't answer, he said. I was working. I called 8 times. I know, he stirred the rice. I signed the amendment. Did you remove my company? Mara said she has to process it. Forward me the confirmation. I will. Now. He put the spoon down harder than necessary. Can we eat first? No. He picked up his phone, found the email, and forwarded it. Mine chimed almost immediately. There, he said. Can we act like 2 people who have shared a life for more than a decade? We shared a repair account, too. How much is left? The risotto hissed softly behind him. $3,600. There was almost 9. The deposit was $2,800. The rest went to the photographer and florist. You used $5,400 without telling me? I was going to replace it from my bonus. Your bonus comes in July. I know when my bonus comes. The windows are leaking now. He looked toward the dish towel as though it had betrayed him by being visible. I made a bad call, he said. I'm not denying that. You made several organized calls. Fine, several. You accessed my calendar, you moved a client, you emailed her as me, you copied my proposal template. I was helping. You deleted the email, because I knew you'd see it before we had a chance to talk. I took off my coat. The keys rattled as I placed them on the counter. Daniel's eyes went to the brass key and red twine. His face softened for 1 second. "Ev," he said, "I know how this looks." That sentence only comes after someone makes sure it looks exactly this way. He turned off the burner. Mom was panicking. Walter didn't want a big thing at first, and then her sister started talking about what they did for their 40th. Mom got it in her head that if she didn't do something memorable, people would think their marriage hadn't mattered. To whom? I don't know. Her friends. "So you handed her my company." "I was trying to give her one night." "You gave her 6 weeks of me." "I thought, once you saw the venue, you'd get excited." "You thought, once the deposit was gone, I'd feel trapped." His jaw worked. "Did you tell her not to ask me too early?" "She was going to corner you at Sunday dinner. I said that would make you say no before we had details." "You knew my answer. I knew your reflex." "My reflex? You hear my mother's voice and your back goes up. Sometimes before she's even finished asking." "She hadn't asked." "That's my point. You don't give her a chance anymore." I stared at him. He seemed to hear himself only after the words were out. He reached for the wine bottle, then stopped. "I'm not saying she handled this well. You're saying I forced you to deceive me because I'm too unreasonable to manipulate in person." "God, Evelyn, did you read the text she sent you?" She was angry. She sent the first one last night. She was anticipating how you'd react. Accurately. He pushed both hands through his hair. "What do you want me to say?" The truth would be new. "I wanted my mother to be happy. I wanted you to do something generous without turning it into a negotiation about old grievances. I thought if the bones were in place, you'd come around. There, that's the truth." The rice began to stick in the cooling pan. I could smell the toasted starch. "Thank you," I said. He looked almost relieved. "Now I know." I picked up my keys and walked toward the garage. "Where are you going?" "To count my equipment." The garage light flickered twice before staying on. One wall held Daniel's tools and paint cans. The other held my black transport boxes, insulated carriers, folding racks, linens, serving trays, and the walnut cake stands I used for weddings. 3 shelves were partly empty. Blue painter's tape marked gaps where equipment should have been. I used the tape during loading so each box could be returned to its assigned shelf. On the floor, someone had started a new staging area. 6 boxes were labeled Lorraine Glasshouse in Daniel's handwriting. I opened the first, my silver coffee urns. The second held linen samples and napkin rings. The third contained 12 ceramic serving platters wrapped in towels from our bathroom. Daniel stood in the doorway. "She wanted to see how everything looked together," he said. "How did she get in here?" "She has a house key." "I know she has a house key. Why did she use it when we weren't home?" "She came by Tuesday." "Were you here?" "No." I lifted one of the platters. A corner had been chipped. "She dropped that," he said. "She offered to replace it." "When were you going to tell me?" "It's a plate." "It's a set of 12. "Then she'll replace the set." "With what money?" "Mine from the repair account." "That's cheap." "No. Cheap is a 70-person midnight breakfast you don't pay anyone to make." He turned away, then back. "You're enjoying this now." The accusation landed because a small part of me had enjoyed telling Lorraine not to touch the tablet. I hated him for finding that part and holding it up as if it were the whole of me. "I'm counting what belongs to my business," I said. "It's our garage. These are not household items." "I never said they were." "You put her name on them." "I put the event name on them so we could stay organized." I set the chipped platter down. "Tasha is coming tomorrow with the van. I'm moving all of this to the commissary. There isn't room. I'll rent storage. That costs money. So does giving my equipment away." "I wasn't giving it away." "You gave her access." Daniel looked at the shelves, the boxes, the towels wrapped around my serving pieces. For the first time that night, uncertainty crossed his face. Not remorse yet. Risk. "If you strip the garage over this," he said, "you're making a statement you may not be able to take back." "I'm not making a statement." I pulled the blue tape from the first empty shelf and pressed it over the chipped corner of the platter so no one would cut a hand. I'm closing a door. Tasha backed the catering van into our driveway at 8 the next morning, nearly clipping Lorraine's sedan. Lorraine stood inside the open garage in cream slacks and driving gloves, holding one of my coffee urns by its handles. Walter was behind her with a collapsible dolly. Daniel had already left for work. "I thought we agreed you weren't taking my equipment," I said. Lorraine lowered the urn onto a box. "We did not agree to anything. Daniel said you were moving things, so I came for what we'd already selected. You selected things that don't belong to you." Walter looked from her to me. "Lorraine said you offered the serving pieces as part of your gift." "What gift?" "The catering." Lorraine peeled off one glove finger by finger. "Must we do this in the driveway?" Tasha climbed out of the van. "Good morning." Nobody answered. I stepped past Lorraine and began closing the lids on my transport boxes. Hearth Hollis is not providing food, staff, linens, equipment, or a permit. Daniel knew I hadn't agreed when he told you otherwise. Walter's eyebrows drew together. He was a long, quiet man whose silence usually served Lorraine by making her version the only one in the room. He said it was supposed to be a surprise. For me? For us. Lorraine turned on him. "Walter, please." "No, I'm trying to understand." "What is there to understand? Evelyn has decided to make a point." Tasha opened the van's rear doors. "Where do you want the racks?" "Against the left wall at the commissary," I said. Lorraine placed herself between Tasha and the shelves. It would have been funny if she hadn't been wearing gloves to steal a coffee urn. "Those boxes are already committed," she said. "To whom?" "Our event." "Your event doesn't have a claim on my inventory. We paid a deposit based on the understanding that you were participating." "You paid a deposit because Daniel told you not to ask me." Walter looked at her. "Did he?" Lorraine's face tightened. "Daniel was trying to prevent unnecessary conflict." "This feels necessary," Walter said. She stared at him. The smallness of his comment made it land harder. Walter rarely contradicted her in front of anyone. He also didn't look brave afterward. He looked tired. I handed Tasha the first box. Lorraine caught my wrist, not hard, just enough to stop the motion. All four of us looked down at her hand. She released me. "You're angry with Daniel," she said. "Punishing us won't repair your marriage." "I'm not punishing you. You're dismantling our anniversary piece by piece. I'm taking my property to my place of business. You store it in my son's house, our house. Then perhaps he has some say. Not over my company." Walter folded the dolly and set it against the garage wall. "Lorraine, let's go." She turned toward him. "We came for the urns." "We have a coffee maker." "For 70 people?" "We shouldn't be having 70 people." The garage went quiet. Lorraine's entire face changed. For a moment, she looked less angry than frightened. "The invitations are out," she said. "We can call people." "And tell them what?" "That plan's changed." "Plans don't simply change, Walter. People change them." He glanced at me, then at the labeled boxes. Apparently, they already have. Lorraine picked up her handbag and walked past me without another word. Walter paused at the end of the driveway. "I don't like the way Daniel handled this," he said. "But 40 years matters to her. It matters to me, too. Then help us find a way through." I tried helping for years. It kept becoming permission. He nodded slowly, though I couldn't tell whether he agreed or was only storing the sentence for later. By noon, every piece of Hearth Hollis equipment was out of the garage. The commissary couldn't hold all of it, so I rented a 10x10 storage unit 3 blocks away. The first month cost more than I wanted to spend. I paid it from the company account and labeled the receipt security, because that was what it was. When Tasha closed the roll-up door, she held out her hand for the padlock key. "You keep it," I said. "You sure? You're my operations lead. That sounds like a promotion." "It sounds like I owe you lunch." Also true. I handed her the new silver key. It felt strange not to put it on my own ring, but good strange. Trust chosen on purpose instead of left lying around. Amy from Bexler called while we ate sandwiches on overturned milk crates. The board will keep the 17th, she said, but they want the revised proposal by 5 today, and they want a backup contact. You'll have both. And Evelyn? Yes? If anything else is going on that could affect service, tell me now. I looked at Tasha. She was peeling the crust from her sandwich and pretending not to listen. The access problem is contained, I said. Tasha Reed will be your backup contact. She has authority to make operational decisions if I'm unavailable. Tasha stopped peeling. Amy said, that helps. When the call ended, Tasha looked at me. Authority? Don't get drunk with it. Too late. I'm ordering better tape. I laughed, and this time I didn't feel guilty. The laughter lasted until Clara from Bay City Linen called. I'm confirming your anniversary order, she said. Ivory damask, 72 settings, cocktail napkins, and the moss green runners. I didn't place an anniversary order. Oh, who did? A Lorraine Mercer. She gave us your account number and said she was your mother-in-law. Did she pay? There's a card authorization pending, but she used your trade rate. Cancel it. Clara lowered her voice. She already approved the embroidery samples. I closed my eyes. There shouldn't be embroidery samples. She sent a monogram. Cancel the order, Clara. Please add a note that only Tasha or I can authorize charges and discounts. I'm sorry, Evelyn. She knew your account history and the name of your sales rep. She's been listening for years. Clara didn't ask what that meant. I'll send confirmation. That evening, Lorraine called once. I let it go to voicemail. You embarrassed me with the linen company, she said. Her voice was controlled, almost conversational. They spoke to me as if I were trying to steal napkins. I hope that gave you whatever satisfaction you're looking for. I deleted the message, then recovered it from the trash and saved it. Not for evidence, for memory. I had a habit of sanding down her sharpest words after a few days, turning them into misunderstandings I could survive dinner with. Daniel came home after 10. I was at the dining table finishing Bexler's proposal. Rain tapped the bad windows, and the dish towel beneath the sill had darkened. He removed his wet jacket. Mom says Walter wants to cancel. Walter said they should scale down. You spoke to him? He was here helping her take my equipment. Daniel sat across from me. She thought you'd offered it. Because you told them the catering was my gift. I said it could be. You told me they were paying. They were covering costs. That isn't a gift. It's unpaid labor with reimbursement. He looked at the spreadsheet on my laptop. Is that Bexler? Yes. So you got them back. I kept them. There's a difference. I'm glad. I waited for the apology that might follow. Nothing did. He reached into his messenger bag and placed a folder on the table. Mom hired someone. I didn't touch it. A personal chef named Colin Rusk, he said. He does private dinners. He can handle the menu with hired staff. Then why do I need a folder? The glass house won't approve him. Why? He doesn't have the kind of catering permit they require. He works in clients' homes. Then he can't operate that kitchen. He has food handler certification and insurance. That isn't the same thing. He can get a temporary permit, but the timeline is tight. Still not my problem. Daniel opened the folder. Inside was a copy of my permit, the same one I kept in our business compliance file, along with my insurance certificate. The permit number had been highlighted. Where did you get those? They were in the filing cabinet before you moved everything. You copied them? I was trying to understand what the kitchen needed. You don't need to understand my permit. Colin says you can supervise under your existing license without cooking. No, you wouldn't have to touch the food. No, you could stop in, sign the kitchen log, and check temperatures. 2 hours, maybe 3. That would make me legally responsible for food I didn't source, staff I didn't hire, and procedures I didn't supervise. He's a professional. Then he can work under his own authority. Daniel flattened one hand on the folder. This is what I mean. There is a middle ground and you refuse to stand on it. You keep building the middle ground inside my boundaries. They will lose the room. Then they lose the room, and the florist, and the photographer, and all the food deposits. You used our repair money for 2 of those. I told you I would replace it. With a bonus that doesn't exist yet. His eyes hardened. I earned that bonus, and I earned the money already sitting in the account. We both did. Then why did only one of us get to spend it? He leaned back. Mom offered to repay the photographer and florist. Did she? She will. When? She's moving things around. I knew that phrase. Lorraine used it when she intended to wait until paying her back would seem rude. I closed my laptop. I'm changing where my owner draws are deposited. Daniel stared at me. What does that mean? My pay from the business will go into a new personal account. I'll transfer my half of the mortgage, utilities, insurance, and agreed household expenses directly. You're separating our finances. I'm stopping you from spending my income on promises I didn't make, without discussing it with me. The irony passed between us. He saw it. His mouth tightened. You can't answer what I did by doing the same thing, he said. I'm not taking shared money. I'm redirecting future income and paying my obligations. That's a legal distinction, not a marital one. So permits matter only when you need mine? He stood and paced to the window. The towel had begun to drip onto the floor. He picked it up, wrung it into a water glass, and laid it back down. I have spent years defending you to her, he said. The sentence surprised me. Defending me from what? You don't know half the things she says. Whose choice was that? Mine, because I wanted peace in this house. No, you wanted me calm enough to keep going back. He turned. Do you think I enjoy managing her? I think you enjoy being the good son more than you mind making me the difficult wife. He looked genuinely wounded. That's cruel. It's also true. For the next 3 weeks, Daniel slept in the guest room. We became efficient with each other. He bought groceries. I reimbursed half. I scheduled the window estimate he had postponed. He attended and took notes. We discussed dinner, laundry, and whether the strange sound in the furnace was new. The calmer we became, the more frightening it felt. Lorraine stopped contacting me. Her silence was not surrender. Vendors I knew began calling with oddly phrased questions about May 17th. A bartender asked whether Colin's team could pick up ice under my account. A rental company wanted to know why the delivery address had changed. Each time I gave the same answer. Hearth Hollis was not involved. Colin emailed me directly. I understand there's a family disagreement, he wrote. I'm not interested in being placed between parties. Daniel indicated you might be willing to extend permit coverage as a professional courtesy. If not, please confirm so I can make an informed decision. I replied with one sentence. You do not have authorization to operate under my permit, insurance, company name, or supervision. He responded 10 minutes later. Understood. That should have ended it. Instead, the night before the anniversary, Mara called while Tasha and I were loading Bexler's dessert trays. I wanted to verify something before tomorrow, she said. Mr. Mercer submitted hard copies of your permit and insurance certificate with the replacement chef's staff list. I set down the tray. Did he sign my name? No. The signature line is blank. Then nothing has changed. That was my understanding. He says you're coming in the morning to complete authorization. Across the kitchen, Tasha watched my face. I'm catering another event tomorrow, I said. I will not authorize theirs. Mara was quiet for a moment. Then they will not be allowed into the kitchen. After we hung up, I reached into my pocket and closed my fingers around the brass key. Daniel had listened to every no I gave him. He had simply decided the building would make it a yes. He was waiting in the kitchen when I came downstairs at 5:30. Daniel wore the navy suit Lorraine had chosen for family photographs. His tie hung loose around his neck, and 2 cups of coffee sat on the counter. He pushed one toward me as if we were beginning an ordinary workday. "You're up early," I said. "So are you." "I'm catering breakfast for 85 people." "I know." The Bexler event began with a board meeting, followed by lunch and an afternoon reception. My van was already packed except for the chilled trays and coffee service. I opened the refrigerator. Daniel said, "Mara called you." It wasn't a question. "She verified your paperwork." "My paperwork?" "The copies you took from my filing cabinet. I told her you'd sign in person. I told her I wouldn't." He pressed his thumb against the coffee lid. "Colin bought the food." He understood my answer. "He bought it before you emailed him. Then you should have told him the truth before he bought it." "I thought you'd make the humane choice once real people were affected." I loaded 2 trays into an insulated carrier. "You keep creating consequences and asking me to prove I'm kind by absorbing them. 70 people are coming tonight. 70 people are coming to your parents' anniversary. They aren't coming to inspect my permit. They're coming for dinner. You should find somewhere that can legally serve them." He watched me zip the carrier. "Come to the glass house at 4:30. You don't have to stay." "No, just meet Mara." "No. Sign the authorization, check the kitchen, and leave Colin in charge." "No." The word felt almost plain now. It didn't scrape my throat on the way out. Daniel picked up the second coffee, then set it back down without drinking. "I know I handled this badly." "You're still handling it." "I'm trying to salvage it." "You're trying to finish it." "What's the difference?" "Salvage starts with admitting the original thing is gone." He looked at me for a long moment. "If you do this, my mother will never forgive you." That's between her and the version of me she thought she owned. I carried the food through the garage, which looked startlingly large without my equipment. Pale rectangles marked the shelves where black transport boxes had stood for years. The damp air smelled faintly of cardboard and motor oil. Daniel followed me to the van. "Is our marriage between you and the version of me you thought you owned?" he asked. I stopped with my hand on the rear door. That was a better question than I expected from him. It almost made me turn around. "I don't know yet," I said. Tasha had the Bexler coffee station assembled before 7. She wore the black button-down she reserved for clients who said things like curated experience without irony. "You look terrible," she told me. "Authority has made you cruel." "It's made me observant." Did he try again? "He thinks the existence of purchased soul creates a moral obligation. Fish is powerful that way. We worked without stopping. Bexler's board chair changed the lunch timing twice. A coffee urn tripped a breaker. The florist delivered centerpieces to the wrong entrance, and one of our servers arrived wearing white sneakers after I had specifically written black shoes in 3 separate places. Ordinary problems, honest problems. Nobody had designed them to trap me. At 11:40, Amy found me near the service elevator. "The board chair says the tarts are better than last year." "They're the same tarts." "I know. He feels involved this year." She smiled, then became serious. "Thank you for making the date work." "Thank you for giving me the chance. Your backup contact is terrifyingly efficient. Tasha will be delighted to hear that." I stepped into the elevator and leaned against the stainless wall. My phone showed 4 missed calls from Daniel, 2 from Lorraine and 1 from Walter. I called Walter. He answered on the first ring. Voices moved behind him, along with the metallic clatter of hotel pans. "Evelyn," he said, "are you coming?" "No." A pause. "Daniel said you might." He knew I wasn't. "I see. Where are you?" "At the kitchen, or near it. They won't let us unload." I pictured Lorraine in her anniversary dress beside trays of raw tenderloin. "Colin knew he wasn't authorized under my permit," I said. "He said Daniel expected to solve it." "Daniel expects me to solve it." Walter sighed. "That appears to be the problem." The elevator doors opened onto the Bexler reception floor. Tasha waved at me from across the hall and pointed to her wrist. "I have to go," I said. "Evelyn, wait." I held the phone closer. "I asked Lorraine to move the dinner to Bellini's," he said. "They can give us their back room if we cut the number." "Then do that." She says leaving the glass house would be humiliating. That doesn't make my permit available. I know. It was the first time any of them had said that without attaching a but. At 3:30, the Bexler board chair shook my hand and asked Amy to secure 2 dates for the following year. Tasha waited until he was out of earshot before bumping her shoulder against mine. "Better tape," she said. "That's what did it." "We still have breakdown." "I can run breakdown. You've been here since 6. So have you." "I'm not leaving you with the mess." She lowered her voice. "You gave me authority in front of a client. Let me use it." My phone rang again. Mara. Through the ballroom doors, servers cleared white plates from linen-covered tables. The job I had nearly lost was ending exactly the way it should, with coffee stains, packing lists, and people arguing about which leftovers belonged to whom. I answered. "They've arrived with the food and staff," Mara said. Mr. Mercer presented the same documents. I explained again that they're incomplete. "Then don't let them in." "We haven't. Colin is refusing to unload without authorization, but Mrs. Mercer says the permit holder is on her way." "I'm not." "I understand. There's one additional issue. Your company name is printed on the staff badges and menus." My hand tightened around the phone. "Photograph them," I said. "Do not distribute them. I'm coming to collect anything with my company name on it." Tasha had heard enough. "Go. I'll be back." "No, you won't. I'll lock up. You'll get a closing report." It took 12 minutes to reach the glass house and 10 more to find parking. The old factory windows shone gold in the late sun. Guests had begun arriving at the main entrance, dressed for the evening, while a refrigerated truck idled in the loading lane. I went through the service entrance. Colin stood beside 3 rolling racks, speaking quietly to Mara. He was broad-shouldered, with a gray beard and an apron folded over one arm. When he saw me, he stepped away from the racks. "I'm sorry," he said. "I should have insisted on speaking to you before I accepted." "Yes." "I believed this was a paperwork dispute between spouses." "It is, but the paperwork is mine." He nodded. "I'm not putting my staff in that kitchen without proper coverage." "Thank you." Lorraine appeared at the end of the corridor in a deep green dress. Her hair was pinned with small gold combs. She looked beautiful and furious. "You came," she said, "to collect the materials using my company name." "Of course you did." Walter followed her, already wearing his coat over his suit. "Bellini's can seat 44 in the back room and another 12 in the main dining room if we leave now." "We are not serving our anniversary dinner in a neighborhood restaurant," Lorraine said. "It's the restaurant where we had dinner after I proposed. We went there because every decent place was closed. It seems available places have value." She looked at him as if he had insulted their entire marriage. Daniel pushed through the service door carrying a folder. His tie was properly knotted now, but his face had gone pale around the mouth. He saw me and exhaled. "Thank God." "Don't." He glanced at Mara and Colin. "Can we have a minute?" "You've had 6 weeks," Lorraine said. Daniel ignored her and guided me toward the narrow corridor beside the walk-in. He didn't touch me, though his hand hovered near my elbow. "Colin will take responsibility for his own staff," he said. "All you have to do is authorize the facility under your permit. That isn't how responsibility works." Mara said you could sign as supervising caterer. She said I could sign because the permit is mine. That doesn't mean I should. "Then stay. I'll pay your full event rate." "With what money?" "My credit card." "That isn't payment. That's debt inside our marriage." He lowered his voice. "People are upstairs." "I know. My mother's sister flew in. Walter's former partners are here. Their friends are walking into a room with flowers, music, place settings, and no dinner." "Then send them to Bellini's. Mom won't go. That's her decision." He opened the folder. My permit lay on top, the number highlighted in yellow. Beneath it was the blank supervision form. "I'm asking you as my wife. You didn't ask me as your wife when my answer could still change the plan. I'm asking now. You're asking me to remove the consequences of not asking then." He closed his eyes. For a second, the corridor went quiet enough that I could hear the walk-in compressor cycle off. "Be angry tomorrow," he said. "Please. Hate me tomorrow if you need to. Just don't do this tonight." There it was, tomorrow again, my anger placed on a shelf, my limits delayed until they no longer inconvenienced anyone. His mother protected in the present while I was assigned every later date. "I've been angry tomorrow for 11 years, I said. "That isn't true." After dinners, after holidays, after she took my serving pieces, changed plans, promised my time. You always said we'd talk later because confronting her then would ruin the evening. Then later came, and you agreed with me beautifully, and nothing changed. I was trying to keep peace. For whom? He looked through the glass panel in the service door. Lorraine stood rigid while Walter spoke to her. Colin's staff had begun returning boxes to the refrigerated truck. "I thought you'd save me," Daniel said. It was so honest that my anger loosened for a moment. "I know. You always do. I know that too." He looked at the permit between us. "So this is revenge?" "No." I took the folder from him, removed my permit and insurance certificate, and tucked them under my arm. "This is the first time you have to live inside your own decision." I found the box of printed menus near the staging table. Hearth Hollis appeared across the top in gray-green lettering. I slid them into an empty produce carton, along with the staff badges. Lorraine watched me. "All this over a signature," she said. "My signature. You could save the evening. You could go to Bellini's." Her eyes shone, but her voice stayed hard. "People will know something went wrong." Something did. Walter stepped beside her. "The cars are coming around. We need to leave." She looked at Daniel, waiting for him to overrule reality one more time. He couldn't. Mara held out her tablet to me. "I've documented that the permit holder declined authorization. Would you confirm that's accurate?" I read the sentence. For weeks, they had treated my permit as a ceremonial piece of paper, a final flourish beneath plans that already belonged to them. But the kitchen needed the permit only I controlled because the risk was real. The food, the staff, the equipment, the liability, all of it required a person willing to say yes. I checked the box, my permit, my decision. Bellini's served Lorraine and Walter's anniversary dinner in 2 rooms with a shortened menu. Colin sold the untouched ingredients to another caterer at a loss, then billed Daniel for his staff's minimum hours. The glass house kept its deposit and charged the change fee. Lorraine paid the florist from her own savings. Daniel put the photographer on his personal card. 38 guests made it to the restaurant. The rest received apologetic messages about a venue problem. Lorraine did not speak to me for almost 2 months. Daniel came home after midnight. I was at the dining table beneath the leaking window where the towel had soaked through again. He placed his keys in the bowl by the door. "Dad thanked me for the dinner," he said. "Mom cried in the restroom. I'm sorry she was hurt. But you're not sorry." "I'm sorry she was hurt. I'm not sorry I refused." He sat across from me. "I kept thinking you'd arrive and become yourself again." "This is me. I know." His face folded then, not theatrically. He simply looked exhausted. "I don't know how to fix what I showed you," he said. "Neither do I." "Do you want me to leave?" "I want space where my no doesn't require enforcement." A week later, I rented a furnished apartment 10 minutes from the commissary. Daniel and I divided household expenses and began the slow, ugly work of deciding whether there was enough marriage left to rebuild. He returned the money he had taken from the repair account when his bonus arrived. It mattered, but it did not erase how he had spent it. By autumn, Hearth Hollis moved into a larger commissary with its own dry storage room. On the first morning, Tasha handed me a new silver key. I untied the faded red butcher's twine from the old brass pantry key and looped it through both. That evening, I left my house key on the dining table beside a clean, dry sill. Then I closed the door with only the keys I had chosen in my hand.